I'm the league commissioner, and I approve this message. Hello and good evening. I'd like to thank you again for tuning into the WPSN, the Wolfpack Sports Network, the #1 source for all of your Wolfpack sporting events, news, and just competitive banter. So, again this week on your special, we are giving you another behind-the-scenes look into one of the owners' boxes of the Crab Cakes and Football League. This week, hopefully not quite as terrifying as the last. Still not easy on the eyes by any means. But, however, this week, we are now going to do, by your vote, a little behind-the-scenes look onto the Seth Happens football team with rogue owner Seth Valines. Enjoy. So, Seth Valines, savvy veteran, fantasy owner, a man of really just a lack of convention. A man without a certain set of rules, really, that he goes by. A man that just does what he feels. Often devising schemes to, quote, trade rape other members of the league, maybe those that are slightly less knowledgeable. He has no conscience. He shows very little sympathy for other teams, as shown by his just absurd amount of, you could say, running the score up when the game is done decided, leaving his superstars in for just extra fantasy points that help his cause. As usual, our owners have declined all contact as far as our documentary is concerned. So we will start you off with this before we dive into a little bit of the brief history of Mr. Valines. We're going to give you what the league commissioner feels about this man in his league. What do I feel about Seth Valines? Well, it's kind of a bag of mixed emotions. Mostly alright. That being said, there are a couple of instances of betrayal that have just kind of loomed over the good, I would say. Really, though, other than that, genuinely okay. For the most part, I can't say the same for his players. Of course, I'm not the ones having the whip cracked, in that direction. I just kind of get to check it out from afar, so that's what I think on the situation. So who exactly is Seth Valines? You might be asking yourself, the man behind the pictures. Basically, a little bit of a brief history. He is married to his wife, Sarah, who actually gave us a slight interview before she busted out in tears. Basically, she said that whenever she first met Seth, she was led to believe that he was a professional golfer, making multiple millions every week in high-stakes tournaments. She also said that really the next 2.5 years, she doesn't remember a thing, which was explained later by results of drug testing. She actually had insanely high amounts of Rufalin in her system, which really explains so much from all of really anyone that knew the situation. In my opinion, it's disgusting, terrifying, troubling, but not really surprising for the fact that how can anyone put up with Seth for 2.5 years? It's a question to ponder. So, really what else? Now, as we start digging into the man himself, do we have to find about Seth Valines? As I mentioned earlier, this man really he doesn't care as far as other members of the league that he may disgust, hurt, really crush along the way. Shown here, we have a picture from the White Estes Wedding Festival, taken with all 6 of the members of this football league at this time, plus an extra, Logan Riley. And as you can see, everyone is celebrating, enjoying their day. However, Seth You can see him just pondering, almost to say, who am I going to screw over today? So as you can see, those closest to him may in fact be the ones most in danger. So, enough about the personality of Seth. Let's see, what exactly does this man do for recreation? What does this man do for just in his spare time? Let's dive in. I will warn you that the picture you are about to see may be found disturbing by several people. I, one of them, am included. So, here, we notice that we have a poor, unsuspecting farm animal. Really just strapped down in the back of a silver Tacoma. Now, in fact, it may not be the exact silver Tacoma that Mr. Valines is often seen in, but I believe the similarities are just too close to dismiss. After years of just being incredibly rude to Mr. Chaplick, the other owner in our league, I find this extremely hypocritical on his part. However, if he wants to molest goats, yes, that is his own personal business. But parading it around in public after it's been just devalued and used is just, it's sick. And of course, who could forget the incident we had earlier in the summer with the quote-unquote zombie outbreak in Lower Florida. Well, most of you may not know, we had a similar outbreak here in our very own community. Shown here, we see Mr. Valines perched up in a tree on bath salts, waiting for the first human to wander by. Fortunately, he could not sit still long enough for anyone to wander across his territory. Later, he was then off bath salts, and surprisingly enough, decided to join a boy band. Why? Because he simply stated, for the chicks. And the dudes. So at this point, I bet you all are wondering, was Mr. Valines always this way? The answer is no. As you can see here, a picture from his younger days. He looked so timid, innocent, cuddly. However, 6 years from then, we see him on bath salts, chasing his football players around the field on a horse-drawn chariot, cracking a whip at them. What caused him to do this? That, my friends, we may never find out. However, we do know that this is what we have. This is what we have to deal with. What's going to happen next for Mr. Valines, you might be asking? The answer is, no one knows. We have no idea what his next move will be. However, it appears though, whenever it comes to our safety as his inner circle of fantasy football colleagues, you might say, most of his attempts have failed, as shown by his lack of effectiveness as a zombie on bath salts. And if he does, he seems to get frustrated, taking his anger and aggression out on goats. So, my friends, I bid to you, as far as Mr. Valines is concerned, he is not to be feared in any way. He may be doing more harm to himself than to anyone else. So with that, I bid you a wonderful good evening and a good night. Thank you.